And there we go. Welcome to IFB Interfleet Broadcasting. Thanks for tuning in to our news, pop culture, sci-fi entertainment channel. Full disclosure, we love our 70s and 80s, TV, movies, comics, books, cartoons, and everything that's Battlestar Galactica related and then some. I'm New York Pete. My co-host tonight is none other than Doc McAuley. What's up, Dr. Chris?
Everyone's up. Everyone's good, man. Yeah,
Good,
it's good to
good,
see you.
good. Tiny Beans here, and of course, Mr. Chris Fian. How are you?
How you doing?
Welcome. Good, good. So, let's get this party started. First, we're gonna just toast to the fans, like we usually do, and of course to tipsy toasters out there in the wilderness somewhere having a good time. So we're covering for you, and so here on IFB, we like to toast to all the fans because, as we say, fans fuel the fleet. Without you guys, we wouldn't be as great as we are. So here's to you guys.
Sláinte.
Outstanding. All right. Well, Tiny Bean, we're going to come back to you in a little while. And then after that, we're going to have our special guest on. So I'm going to put you in the green room for a couple minutes. Okay. All right. So, Doc McAuley, are you ready? Because we're going to have our Star Wars update from none other than Mr. Chris Fian.
Well, I'm very excited about this.
All right,
Let's
well-
go. Let's go for it.
Let's do it.
Well, I'm Chris Fian. I'm the charity officer for the 501st Legion's Empire City Garrison here in New York. And as I mentioned last time, we're waiting on Celebration, Star Wars Celebration that happened in Japan to find out all the dumps and all the new information that was coming out about Star Wars. And it didn't disappoint. There was a lot of surprises and a lot of interesting missing information. So let me go through some of the big announcements that were made and new projects that are coming out. So you know what's on the horizon the next year for Star Wars. And then I'll talk a little bit about some of the interesting omissions. Basically, some of the big announcements were Tales of the Underworld, which is the third in the animated series. There was Tales of the Empire, Tales of the Jedi. Now there's a limited series, animated series called Tales of the Underworld. It just started airing on May the 4th. It just finished. Great series, but it's very short. Each episode, I think there's 6 episodes. Each episode's only about 15 minutes. Check it out. It's interesting. It revolves mostly around Cad Bane and Ventress. So check out those episodes and just watch them. They're a good side story to Star Wars. Some really good animation on par with Clone Wars and some of the other computer animated Star Wars fare. Why they released it in 6 15-minute episodes and not like a mini movie or something is beyond me. Maybe just to stretch it out into a series. But that's on Disney Plus right now. You can check it out. They're making and actually just released the second season of Light and Magic, which is the behind the scenes on Industrial Light and Magic. The first documentary series handled the making of the original Star Wars. This new one's handling the beginning of the making of the prequels. So very interesting documentary. You can check that out on Disney Plus. They announced at Celebration out of nowhere that there's going to be a Darth Maul animated series that's going to be coming in 2026 to Disney Plus. So that was very exciting, and that was information that was kept way under wraps. Nobody had known that anything like that was coming, so that's very exciting. There's going to be a Visions Season 3, which is Star Wars Visions was basically different animations, Japanese anime type style stories told in the Star Wars universe. The first 2 seasons were a big hit. The third season has been announced to being released in October. Also interesting on that same note, there was a very particular episode, I think it was from the second season of Visions, called The Ninth Jedi. That was a very interesting Japanese animation standalone episode of that Vision series. They're making that into a series, which is just very odd that they decided to take that one story. It was very compelling, and I'm excited that they're doing it, and they're making that and giving that its own expanded series. They haven't announced how long it's going to be, how long each episode is going to be, but they are breaking out that one segment from Star Wars Visions into its own separate series. So that was also a huge surprise that was coming. On the other Star Wars front, as expected, Young Jedi Adventures, which is basically the kiddie Star Wars show that also has a toy line, of course, is going to get a season 3, and that's going to come out in the fall. So the kiddies can look forward to that. And Andor season 2 just wrapped up. Uh, not a surprise to anyone, since Andor was such a critically acclaimed series over its course of its run. The second season blew the doors off that, and the critical ratings were sky high. It's no surprise that it was number one in streaming for the first 2 weeks in June, which is very surprising for any Star Wars series. So it really blew the doors off streaming, blew the doors off a lot of different genres, just because I guess so many people through word of mouth had heard what a strong series it was and were watching it. I personally enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot more than the first season. I thought it was very interesting how they segmented it into 4 separate chapters with 3 episodes each, so that each one was like tackling a year in the life of Andor, leading up into the events of him going after the plans for the Death Star and Rogue One. So it was better structured. None of the storylines went on too long. They were just long enough for like 3 episodes with a lot of meat in those 3 episodes. So I did like the new structure. It's just a shame that that's basically it, because the last episode of Andor, as promised, leads directly into Rogue One. You could literally watch the last episode and then hit play on Rogue One. And it's basically continues right where the series leaves off. Literally the next scene is him going to see the spy in the beginning act of Rogue One, which is exactly what they were alluding to in the last episode. So it's interesting that it did come to pass. Gilroy made it happen. He was the writer behind the show and the showrunner for the show, who had basically said that this was his plan and that it was going to lead directly into Rogue One, and it does. So mission accomplished, and it's a great success for the Star Wars universe, and maybe gives us a little hope for the streaming platform in the future that we'll get some other good Star Wars series. Interestingly enough, there was no mention of any other series at Celebration. There was hopefully going to be some drops or some releases about the status of Lando, or maybe some other series coming out. But right now, that's pretty much all that's on the horizon that's been announced. So we can look forward to, as I mentioned, some other animated shows and the Darth Maul show, and the second season of Ahsoka, which has started filming already. They did get Rory McCain, who is best known for playing the Hound on Game of Thrones, to take over the character of Balin Skull due to actor Ray Stevenson's death. So he will be continuing that role, and that's going to lead into the second season of Ahsoka, hopefully sometime late next year. They haven't released the date yet, but based on the timelines and when they usually film stuff and when it actually comes out, we're expecting it to be sometime late next year, probably after the release of The Mandalorian and Grogu. On the movie front, that's the big news. The Mandalorian and Grogu, there's a lot more released about that, including some photos on set of Sigourney Weaver in an X-Wing outfit. So that's very exciting that we know that she's going to be part of it, and she's going to play a significant role in that movie. The anticipation for that movie is really at a high, since there hasn't been a real Star Wars movie in about 5 years. It's very exciting that we are going to get a new Star Wars movie. It's going to be, the continuation of the Mandalorian and Grogu story, and anticipation for that for next May is very, very high. Interestingly enough, there was no news at Celebration on the new Jedi Order, the Daisy Ridley-led movie. And as a matter of fact, unfortunately, it has been taken off the schedule for 2026 and 2027, which is not a good sign. So right now, that project's kind of in limbo until I think it gets back on its feet. We're not going to get a significant update on the release date or how it's progressing. So that was unfortunate. But that project is probably not dead. It's probably in kind of what they call development hell right now, as they work out the writing, they work out the producing, they work out the future of that movie. So right now, the big one that we're waiting for is, of course, Mandalorian and Grogu. The big drop that was released at Celebration that took everybody by storm was that they are making a new feature movie that's planned to be released sometime in 2027, starring Ryan Gosling, written and directed by Sean Levy, who just came off of Deadpool vs. Wolverine. And it's going to take place a few years after the events of Rise of Skywalker. So it's going to be a continuation in that universe, in that timeline, that's going to star Ryan Gosling. The other big drop that just happened in the past week is they were originally talking to Mickey Madison, who was the lead of that Academy Award-winning movie Anora. She was going to be the villain, or was in talks to be the villain. That fell apart, and they went elsewhere. I am so glad they went elsewhere. Even though I love Mickey Madison, the person they chose to be the main female villain in the Starfighter movie is Mia Goth, who, if you've ever seen Ty West's X trilogy, there was a movie called X, a movie called Pearl, and a movie called Maxine. She was basically the lead in those three movies. She is undeniably an incredible actress, incredible screen presence, very versatile, and just incredible choice to play the villain in Star Wars. I was very excited to hear that news. I'm a big Mia Goth fan. So to hear that she's going to be part of the Star Wars universe is a very unconventional choice, but a very strong choice. So I'm very excited that she's going to be being brought to the Star Wars universe in a very pivotal role. Nothing much else on any of the movie fronts. I know the other projects are all developing. There hasn't been much news released, and I'm hoping over the next 6 months, 6 to 8 months, that we'll hear some more news on any other projects coming to fruition and actually getting formulated into something that's actually going to be released. There was some talk at Celebration. They were hoping that Kathleen Kennedy might step down or at least announce her successor. That still has not happened, and there's been a lot of speculation on who might succeed her. The front runners right now are basically Dave Filoni, who would be probably the best choice. He was known for helping produce The Mandalorian, the Boba Fett show, the Clone Wars series. So he would be like the logical choice. The other person that's been thrown around too is another woman named Carrie Beck, who was one of the producers on Ahsoka and also was a co-producer on Clone Wars. So all eyes are on those two names to be named the successor for Lucasfilm. And depending on who they choose, they could determine the future of Star Wars for the next 5 to 10 years. I'm really hoping it will be Dave Filoni. I really think he gets Star Wars. I think the work he's done on The Mandalorian, and even some of the work he did on Book of Boba Fett was very strong. He's legendary for keeping Star Wars alive during making the Clone Wars cartoon and making that so high quality. I think he would be the logical choice to continue on. For some reason, Jon Favreau's not been really in the mix, but I think Jon Favreau, who's the director of The Mandalorian and Grogu, and who also produced The Mandalorian show, may be better off in that more creative role, being director, being a producer. He might not want it. So right now, Dave Filoni and Carrie Beck are the two front runners for that position. Nothing else, much else going on for animation or TV shows or movies. There has been some talk within the game community about some of the games coming out. I've mentioned many times before that Outlaws was basically an overall disappointment, that it didn't really get the legs that they were hoping for. It didn't really have the sales they were hoping for. Well, now there's been a very surprise announcement that Outlaws might actually see a new life on the Switch 2. They are releasing it as one of the big titles for the Switch 2. And it actually is pretty playable on the Switch 2 with some slight downgrades to the graphics. And it's expected to be a huge hit on the Switch 2. It's a very good game. It's a AAA level game. To be on a handheld device is almost unprecedented. But they have already done the port. It's being released very shortly, and it may have legs on the Switch too. So it might find a whole new life for a whole new audience on that platform. They are releasing what is expected to be the final expansion pack for that. It's called A Pirate's Fortune. It's an expanded story pack that does add some more characters. It adds another story that you can play through. That was released in mid-May, so that might also give it some legs. But again, unfortunately, we're all still waiting for another giant Battlefront or other type Star Wars game that's going to unite the entire community around it and just fall in love with it. And that still has not happened in the past few years. We have had the Jedi Survivor games, which were very good. They might even be making a third one of that. That's still to be decided. They are actually releasing figures for that game, which is incredible. The game has such a following that they're actually releasing some figures of some of the main characters. That's pretty much it on the game front. I'm sorry, one other thing. Star Wars Beyond Victory is a VR game that's mixed reality that's being released on the Quest 3. There hasn't been a date announced yet, but it is expected for the fall to Christmas time frame to be released. There is a trailer for it that shows some of the interesting things you're able to do. It basically lets you interact in a 3D environment. with the Quest headset. In reality, it lets you do some things like pod racing and a few other fun Star Warsy type things. It might be interesting. I liked the other game, the Galaxy's Edge game. I thought it was very good. There was a segment at the very end of the game where you go undercover as a stormtrooper on Starkiller Base, on like a base similar to Starkiller Base within the world, and that was a standout level. And I wish the whole game had been that. So unfortunately, that was a little bit of a disappointment to get to where you had to get to that big mission where you're undercover as a stormtrooper. I would have just loved to just keep doing the missions as undercover as a stormtrooper. But this game might have some legs, might be interesting. I'm eagerly awaiting playing that on Quest 3 when it is released. That's pretty much all the news in the Star Wars media front. Nothing else really has been announced. But I'm always keeping tabs on what's going on and trying to bring you whatever new projects and new things might be on the horizon. On the 501st front, we've been incredibly busy. We just got off the past few days doing Lincoln Center. They had Star Wars The Empire Strikes Back at Lincoln Center, and we were invited there to greet guests and do like a step and repeat photo op with all the guests there. So that was a fun time for many of our members. And coming up in July, we have a convention, the Eternal Con, here on the island, and the convention that we're running on behalf of the Cerebral Palsy Association, the Sci-Fi Minicon. All the proceeds from that convention go to the Cerebral Palsy Association. We have some great guests this year, including IFB is going to be there, doing a report from there. So thank you, Pete, and hopefully Chris can make it there as well. It's very exciting to have you guys there, and you've been supporting it every year. We have some other incredible guests like Michael C. Williams from the Blair Witch Project. We have Catherine Mary Stewart returning, who was from The Last Starfighter and Night of the Comet. We have Damien Maffei, who's an actor who I met at a convention and asked him if he'd attend, and he said, sure, I'd love to. I grew up in right in that area. So I'm very excited to have Damien Maffei come. He starred in The Strangers 2 as the killer. He is the voice of Johnny in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre video game, which my kids are a big fan of. So they were very excited that he's coming to this convention. We have Joe Zazzo, and we have a number of other guests, including all the cosplayers from the various fan groups. We have, and the wrestler Brimstone, who's a personal friend, has also helped get some of the sponsors for this event. So thank you, Brimstone, for attending. We also have all the cosplayers coming from the 501st Legion, from the Ghostbusters, from the Saber Guild. It's just going to be a party for everybody. So it's July 19th, Levittown Hall in Hicksville, from 12 to 5 p.m. We do have a raffle that if you can't attend in person, or if you'd just like to make a donation to the Cerebral Palsy Association, we have a raffle for a 7-foot animated Darth Vader statue that's going on right now. And for any donation to the Cerebral Palsy Association, you get a chance at that incredible giveaway. So please check that out. I'm sure, Pete, you could share that at the end in the show notes so that if anybody would like to donate, it's a very worthy cause, and we're very happy to support it. We'll also be supporting them again in December. We do an event for them called the Sugar Plum Ball, which is an amazing event. And we'll be attending Comic-Con on behalf of the local event. If you can't see us at one of the local events in the New York area and you're traveling to Comic-Con, please check us out there. We run a Blaster Trooper, we run photo ops, all to raise money for the Maple Foundation. So please check us out. And if you want more information about the 501st, you can check out 501st.com. And if you want information about the 501st in New York, you can check out 501ecg.com to find out what we're up to with the Empire Studios.
Outstanding. Well, thank you, Chris. We will definitely be at the Sci-Fi Minicon, just like we did last year. I believe John 1 is going to join us. We're going to support with actually on IFB, on our social media site over on Meta, Facebook. We have a link to the fundraiser. So guys, get on there. I'll add it up on our I'll add it in here. So I'll the link, but it's on our site. So we got it up. So guys, whatever it is, big or small, please donate. If you're going to be in the neighborhood, please come down because we're going to have a great time. Last year was fantastic. Expect this year to be just the same.
And you don't have to attend to win the raffle. The raffle is for
Oh,
anybody
that's great.
who would like to donate to CP NASA. And everybody who donates during this time frame gets until July 19th gets a chance at the animated arcade.
Well, that's fantastic.
It's an incredible piece. It's 7 feet tall. It actually moves. It talks.
Does it really? Oh, cool. All right.
It's an insane prop to have in your basement, in your living room, any place in the house.
Any place. Yeah, whatever. Wherever it fits, right? Wherever you have the ceiling space for. But fantastic. Thank you so much, Chris. I'll tell you just real quick. I loved Andor. I went back and watched the last episode and then just watched Rogue One right after it. And that was just about 5 days ago because we loved it. My wife and I one of our favorites. So
yeah, it was a different type of series for Star Wars. It was a lot more intelligent. It was a lot more political, but it was a very well done show. I personally prefer The Mandalorian. I like a little action. I like a little space adventure. I like kind of the story of the week type thing with an overarching arc. Andor kind of breaks that and makes it more of a cerebral show and makes you want to think, makes you have to think. And sometimes, I'm in the mood for that, and sometimes I'm not. Sometimes I just want some fun fare. But I gotta say,
Chris, I'm going to ask you a question.
Yeah.
Do you like the Jedi Knight series as a video game?
You mean the Jedi Survivor?
No, Jedi Knight. So the stuff, Dark Forces.
Oh yeah, I love all of them. As a matter of fact,
yeah.
They're making a Dash Rendar figure, which was from those original games and that original storyline.
Yeah, because I like what's the guy's name was Kyle something, right? So he was the guy who actually originally got the Death Star. He got the Death Star blueprints, right? And that was before Rogue One.
Yeah, they kind of did a little revisionist history because that's not necessarily considered canon.
Well,
here,
listen, Chris, wait a minute. Pete, have you got the beeper ready? Are you ready?
No.
Okay.
No.
Canon. Those games were incredible. I mean,
I love Dark Forces. I even like
Dark Forces.
Knights of the Old Republic, which is making a comeback as well.
Yeah, look, listen, we've got one of the ladies here that she's coming on. She worked with on Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, but I love the Dark Forces, Jedi Knight 2, Jedi Academy.
Well, I'd like to mention,
love all that stuff.
If you're interested and you'd like to revisit those games, I think I mentioned in an earlier episode that they did re-release remastered versions of some of those games. As a matter of fact, I just found out that if you have a Switch,
I worked on them.
Do you have a Switch?
I worked on them.
Oh, really?
I worked on them. I've actually worked on.
They made that archive.
And I've worked on those games, and I've worked on really strange games like Star Wars Demolition.
Oh yeah,
I worked on Star Wars Clone Wars for PS2, and we brought all those back to PlayStation Network. And I also worked on. There's a
great pack that's on the Switch 1 that also works on the Switch 2 that has Dark Forces, Jedi.
Yeah.
And Pod Racer. It has it all on one cartridge, so you can play all of them.
That's my claim for the fame. I've worked on a couple of Star Wars games and stuff, all these classic Star Wars games. But yeah, it's just that we have a lady coming on, and she's a massive Star Wars fan. She's worked on Star Wars: The Old Republic, and she's also worked in Indiana Jones and all sorts of things.
I'm very excited about that new Indiana Jones game.
But it's amazing. And, I've played the Indiana Jones games since the 90s. I actually played The Last Crusade. I bought The Last Crusade when it was an 8-bit and played through it. But this lady, she is one of the biggest fans, I think, of LucasArts. And she's worked on, she's brought all of these incredible franchises back. But I was just interested to know, because you're a mega fan. I wouldn't say I'm a mega fan of Star Wars, but you're a mega fan of Star Wars, Chris. So I wanted to just gauge your opinion on some of those games.
Yeah, I loved all of them, and keep in mind that for 20 years that was all we had. You know, there wasn't a
Well,
lot.
That's right.
There wasn't this constant barrage of content.
Well,
you know, we had
God,
the books and we had the games, and that's all we had until they finally came out with some.
oh God, forgive me. I brought back Jedi Battles this year. That's a thing. It came out in PS1, and I brought that back.
Yeah, I love X-Wing versus TIE Fighter and the X-Wing game.
Oh, it's amazing.
And
that's amazing.
And that Rogue Squadron game that was on the.
Oh, it's incredible.
Yeah, that was an incredible game. I actually
Yeah.
thought Squadrons, that was recently released about 3 years ago for the PlayStation. Star Wars Squadrons was incredible. It was just like that.
Yeah, the VR version,
game, but it didn't get the support and the add-ons that it really deserved, because I was playing that game obsessively for a couple of months.
The VR was amazing.
They weren't releasing anything new for it.
Yeah, no, the VR is amazing. Now, we might be in the next couple of weeks getting a voice actor who was on Star Wars Battlefront 2. He was the Admiral. We might be getting him on in the next couple of weeks. But yeah, we're all kind of, I'm jumping on Battlefront 2 again. It died for about a year. We're all jumping back on because we want Battlefront 3.
Everybody's dying for Battlefront 3. I mean,
Yeah.
I played that game obsessively for about a year and a half every day.
Yeah.
And I just loved every moment of that game.
Yeah. And I think we all need to jump back on it because
I was very pissed. I don't know if you remember this. When Battlefront 2 was first coming out, it was supposed to have a VR mode. And I actually had prepared and got the VR thing for my PlayStation, and everything was ready to go.
Yeah.
And then it was just one little brief X-Wing mission. You got to do VR, and they chinsed out and didn't make the whole game VR. I was so pissed off at that.
Well, my issue with Battlefront 2 was the it was all to do with the money that you had to spend to get the heroes.
Yeah.
And then they stopped that. Loot crates. They stopped that. And it genuinely, folks, if you want to go and play a really good single player game that sets after Endor, during Endor, after Endor, go and play Battlefront 2. Yeah. And I would say the community's coming back online. So yeah, play that as a multiplayer game as well.
Fantastic. Great recommendation.
Thanks, Chris.
Thanks, everybody.
Take care. We'll see you next time, huh?
I'll see you on
at the con. See you at the con. All right, buddy. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. All right. That's our Star Wars update with Director Chris Fian, Empire City Garrison 501st Legion. He's in charge of charity and the like. So, man, he never seems to have a bottom to the wealth of Star Wars knowledge and events and things. It's just constantly going. Yeah, which is great. And he still is a Battlestar Galactica fan.
Yeah, of course he is.
He was the president of the Battlestar fan club back in the day.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yes. That's
right. Well, I'll tell you, he's bang on the money with the animated Star Wars stuff.
Heck yeah.
I love it. Absolutely love it.
Absolutely, and agreed. Look, we have all-star cast on our end, and then we have all of our great fans that are watching. Chuck Davenport, we have an announcement to make, so you stay tuned. Jim Klubna, our fan Jim, man, he's been with us for years now. And I'll tell you, Doc, when we had a special discussing the Topps Battlestar Galactica cards, we put out the net so that we could see if anybody actually had the unreleased second set of Topps Battlestar Galactica cards. They're super rare, right? There's only maybe 3 that we know of that were ever made and cut in the world.
We had the chap on last week who was talking about the Topps.
A few weeks ago, yes.
Yeah, a few weeks ago. Yeah.
Well, he's been tracking it down. Our IFB Battlestar Galactica fan, Jim, actually has a set. He had posted that he was going to check on it. He did. He sent me pictures. We discussed it. and we'll get into it at another show. He's got one of those 3 sets, man. So, Jim, thanks for sharing the pictures. We're going to get into it. We're going to discuss it more. Lola, Dave Francoeur, Chris Laskowski from Down Under, and Kim. And hey, Michael Morlock is on with us. Erika. We have 2 Erikas. Of course, Erika Persianni will be doing our Battlestar Galactica update. So that's it later in the show.
I know she's very excited about that.
Oh, heck yeah.
So, yeah.
Scott Good's with us. Oh, Superfan Fran is with us. John Wan, Bert Oliver Bulmer, of course. And let's see, that's kind of, Tipsy Toaster jumped in. Hey, what's up, Tipsy?
Tipsy, go and enjoy your holiday.
I hope he's got the tent pegged down, man, because this storm's coming. In the meantime, we have Tiny Bean Tara. What's up, Tiny Bean?
Hi, guys. So
What's
good
up?
to be here. Oh, my goodness. And all of our friends are in the house. How wonderful is that?
Hi, Tiny Bean. How you
Hey,
doing?
Doc. It's
You
great
all right?
to see you.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness, that Chris Meehan report. I live for his Star Wars updates. He's like spot on every time.
Well, before I let you start, Tiny Bean, we're going to make an announcement that just came in earlier today. And since you're directly involved in it, I think it's appropriate that I bring it up now. And that is this.
Gird your loins. Gird your loins.
So we are the Stranded Warrior, our Battlestar Galactica fan film, which you are in, was awarded from the Dubai International Cine Carnival today, awarded us the win for best VFX.
Yeah.
So yes,
It's incredible.
so you guys, and of course, Doc McAuley is our executive producer.
Yeah, I'm extremely proud of all of you, right? You know, this is incredible. So we are bringing classic Battlestar back into the public through these awards because you guys are so bloody magnificent, right? And Pete's quite proud of me because I haven't dropped an F-bomb yet.
That's right. I am super proud. But
That
look,
is young, Doc.
Tiny
That
Bean,
is
Tiny
young.
Bean, right there, right
Yeah.
next to Diana Durango.
Yeah,
There you are.
there you go. Right? Yeah.
Oh my
But
God.
how many awards is this film?
But
We've got a lot of awards here.
we have 2 awards. We've been selected into 3 film festivals so far.
Yeah.
And it's just we're moving forward. And I'm also going to show this. So this is
There
the
we go.
official certificate of achievement awarded through the director, of course, Chris Moore. And it's best VFX artists. And so we're really proud of that accomplishment. Thank you to everybody that worked on it, spearheaded by Chuck Davenport, Chris Marshall, and of course Tipsy Toaster. So you guys, plus there's others. If anybody wants to know, please head over to IMDb. All of the details are there. Everybody that was involved is there. So thank you, all of you, for helping out and working and being a part of this and making the short more than we could have ever expected. And Tiny Bean is in it, so she plays a good role. And so
Absolutely. It's fucking phenomenal.
oh hey,
Well
There
done.
we go.
Hey, it's worth an F-bomb. We're going to go for an F-bomb because you know what? How many films that have been based around Battlestar Galactica have got all these accolades? Come on.
I don't know.
And you
Other
guys-
than the original, I'm like, I don't know, man.
You guys have done this. It's amazing. Fantastic. It's phenomenal. There you go.
It is. Thank you. All right, sir.
Such an honor to be a part, guys. Wow.
Yes, it's a group effort. But thank you, Tiny Bean. Thank you, everyone that's involved. Thank you to stars, cast and crew. Thank you very much, guys. Really appreciate it. Sean just joined us from Battlestar Bulletin Board. Thanks for joining us live. So here you are, Tiny Bean. It's all you.
Yay. All right, fantastic. If you are ready, then I am too. Well, hello, IFB. Great to be back. Welcome to Tiny Beans Corner, where we discuss new, old, and otherwise interesting things for the fleet's R and R time. It's just about summer solstice time in the States, and things are heating up. I've got lots of fun and funny updates and info and all kinds of stuff for you guys tonight. So let's dive in. First up, we have been reporting in the corner for the upcoming Spaceballs 2, 40 years in the making, with Josh Gad steering the project. Latest update is fabulous news for the fans, guys. They have confirmed that Mel Brooks is on board, as is Bill Pullman, and they got Rick Moranis out of retirement to come back as Dark Helmet. I know, right? So excited. And hey, Bill Pullman is even bringing his son, actor Louis Pullman, along for the ride. Now, we've got a while to wait on this one, but I'll keep updating on progress as we go. In the realm of hilarious and ridiculous comedy, and this one's for you, Tipsy. Get ready for this. Leslie Nielsen's Naked Gun is getting a reboot, this time starring none other than Liam Neeson, who will be playing Frank Drebin Jr. Check out the trailer, guys. I legit laughed out loud several times and watched it like 5 times back to back. So funny, so ridiculous. They pay homage to Leslie, to George Kennedy, and even an appropriate nod to OJ. This one is going to hit theaters August 1st. Check it out. We all need a laugh. Now, for some hot off the presses new info, this one hits square in the nostalgic feels, guys. Remember Sid and Marty Krofft's Land of the Lost from the 1970s? It was always a huge favorite of mine when I was little. There have been some kind of so-so attempts at remakes through the years. None quite hit the mark, but Netflix has just announced a planned reboot of the series. No cast or crew info yet, just word that the project is on their slate. So stay tuned and bring on the Sleestacks. Now, in more fresh news, American filmmaker Roger Eggers has brought us some truly spectacular and truly disturbing hits like The Witch, Nosferatu, The Northman. Well, he's just announced his next project will be one near and dear to my heart. He plans to do a full-scale film of A Christmas Carol, my favorite book. I imagine it will be a dark and brooding interpretation, but the news gets even better. He has slated Willem Dafoe to play the infamous Ebenezer Scrooge. So stay tuned, guys. This could be really spectacular. Now, another up-and-coming project heading to Netflix is called Black Rabbit. Why is this one on my radar? Well, apparently it's brought to us by the team that created Ozark. Fabulous series. Talked about it on here a lot. It's got a great Breaking Bad vibe. Check it out if you're looking for something a bit twisted and binge-worthy. Well, Black Rabbit will be a limited series starring Jason Bateman, of course, and Jude Law. Rumor has it Laura Linney from Ozark is on board directing a couple of episodes too. No word yet on release date. Always consistent there, Netflix. But we will be watching like a hawk for news. I am betting this will be excellent. Now, last up for the corner tonight, I wanted to spotlight one of my favorite directors here in the corner, Mike Flanagan. I especially wanted to talk his latest Battlestar Galactica nod. Now, backstory here. Mike Flanagan has made a bit of a name for himself as the perfect director for the works of Stephen King. He currently has in theaters the film The Life of Chuck, based on a heartwarming King short story, and it's getting rave notices. It's been described as a profoundly moving experience, and I can't wait to see it. His next project, however, is a reboot mini-series version of the 1976 King classic, Carrie. Flanagan has cast young actress Summer K. Howell in the title role and Samantha Sloyan as her mother. Filming has begun in Vancouver, expected to wrap by October. Now, the really cool twist is in Flanagan fashion. He has a slew of cool actors popping in as guest stars. And how's this for a BSG mini reunion? He's got Katie Sackhoff and Michael Trucco in it. Ah! No word on their shared screen time, but that will surely be something to look forward to. In the meantime, I highly encourage you to check out some of Flanagan's past works available streaming. My personal favorite is his 2018 Netflix miniseries, The Haunting of Hill House. A truly spectacular work of filmmaking, melding spooky and heartbreaking seamlessly. Each episode is almost a standalone mini-movie. The epic and detailed touches are numerous. Keep your eyes peeled on the backgrounds in each scene. When you think you spotted something out of the corner of your eye, you aren't imagining it. The cast is incredible, from Timothy Hutton to Carla Gugino, Michael Huisman, Henry Thomas, Katie Siegel. I mean, the list goes on. One of the things you'll notice about Flanagan is he likes to keep his favorite actors busy, so you're apt to see your favorites in many of his works. Especially, check out episode 6. It's called Two Storms. It's notable in that the entire episode is filmed in one long take. It's brilliant filmmaking. Now, I remember the first time I saw it, I was just blown away, and I immediately went back to watch it again. Really incredible work by the actors and the production team. My other favorite example of the brilliance of Mike Flanagan is his big screen adaptation of Dr. Sleep. King fans will remember that Dr. Sleep was his long-awaited follow-up book to The Shining, taking us into the life of a grown-up Danny, the little boy with the shine, from the original. Now, if you may recall, the original book, The Shining, and the classic Kubrick film version were completely different. King did not have creative control, and although the film is an absolute classic of the horror genre, it makes a huge change or two to the source material. Dr. Sleep, however, is a direct sequel to the book, not the Kubrick film. So how do you go about making a film sequel that will satisfy both versions of the original without confusing people? Well, you bring in a master filmmaker, and they did. I didn't think it would be possible to do, but somehow Flanagan makes it work seamlessly. It is a brilliant feat of filmmaking not to be missed. So, there you have it. 2 highly recommended Flanagan picks to check out, and we'll be anxiously awaiting the Carrie reboot and its awesome BSG connection. Now, if we can only get Flanagan to work on a new Battlestar Galactica project, then we'd really be onto something. And that is all for the corner tonight. Back to you.
Wow, awesome. Hull House. Oh my God. Oh boy.
This is just flawless.
My God. I've watched it twice, and now I'm ready to go back a third time. And I highly recommend it. If anybody's into that, it's not a slasher film. It's not in that, it's just, there's a lot of scary stuff that goes on. So well done. I love it. So, and let's look forward to some of this other stuff. Hey Karen, thank you for joining us. Appreciate it. George in the house, thank you for joining us live, guys. Appreciate it. Tiny Bean, fantastic as usual. Appreciate it. So Department Q, watched the whole thing. What are your recommendations? Loved it.
Wasn't that fun?
Oh, it was
so
a
much
lot of fun.
fun.
Yes, absolutely. So looking forward to that coming back. Dr. Chris, have you watched Hull House?
Oh God, no.
Oh.
Oh God, no! Oh God, no! Like I'm very different. There's some of the recommendations I wouldn't be a fan of at all.
All right.
Interestingly, I write horror.
Yeah.
But I don't watch horror at all.
It's good. It's good. But anyway, all right. Well, look, Tiny Bean, congratulations to all of us here on IFB, specifically for supporting, but for those that participated, like yourself, and of course Dr. Chris and Tipsy and everybody else. We got that big award today, and it's for everyone, right? This is part of the fandom. So thank you to everybody, all you guys that supported us to make that funded the Stranded Warrior. We did it, we made it, and there you go, guys. So it's got life beyond, and it's being recognized. So thank you, Tiny Bean, for all the stuff, including being in it.
Yeah.
And then so I was teasing you earlier because our next audio drama is called Under the Desk. You're starring, and it's being worked on as we speak. Part of the Tower Protocol that Dr. Chris wrote. So stay tuned for more.
And you know what? It was wonderful to write for you. I really enjoyed that. I hope you enjoyed voicing it.
Absolutely adored it. I want more. That was amazing. Thank you so much for letting me do that.
Tiny Bean, thanks again. We look forward to having you on our, the next update that you're going to do. So here's to you.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Sláinte.
Enjoy.
All right. And with that, Doc, we have our special guest for tonight.
Oh yeah. And I'm very pleased to introduce this lady. So,
all right.
She's not just
Kate Edwards. Yes.
Oh yeah. Kate Edwards. She's not just a powerhouse in the gaming and pop culture industries. She's somebody who quite literally helped shape my career.
Oh,
and you guys have heard that from like when we were working with John Peel with the Doctor Who stuff I'm doing and all sorts. But yeah, there was a time a while ago that Kate was a mentor, but she's a trailblazer. She's a relentless advocate for cultural authenticity in games. And long before culturalization became industrial buzzwords, Kate was leading the charge. She was pushing boundaries at Microsoft. She was guiding developers through the nuances of global storytelling. And she was showing all of us that games were more than just entertainment. They're actually a cultural focus. And her work opened my eyes to the why behind world building, not just the how. So it made me think deeply about representation, geography, the emotional weight behind virtual spaces, and she's done a lot of writing and talks, and she and I have talked about these things, but I've looked beyond code and pixels to see the people, the global audiences that bring these experiences to life. And she's also got a fantastic business venture that we're going to hear more about called Set Jetters. Set Jetters is for people like us. We have the nostalgia, we've got fandom, and she brings up real world geography in a way that celebrates everybody, everything that we love about films, like Indiana Jones, which we're going to talk about a lot, Star Wars, all of these films. She can take us there to the literal places.
Cool.
These places.
All right. Well, she's here waiting. So
yeah.
Welcome, Kate. Thank you for taking the team out and coming out to IFB. And so thank you. I've heard a lot about you. I've also read some stuff about your background, and it's impressive.
Thank you.
I'm fascinated with that geography thing. So maybe we'll talk a little bit about that. But so Doc McAuley's always he's brought you up throughout all the time I've known him, and you are if nothing else, the gaming aspect of your career is tremendous.
Thank you.
So what is it that you're doing these days? Is it still part of the gaming world or not?
It is, and thank you for this generous introduction. I really appreciate that, Chris, and thank you for having me on. I'm a massive fan of all of Battlestar Galactica, as well as all other forms of pop culture. But yeah, I've got a one of the reimagined Galacticas, I think, back over my shoulder there next to my fedora. But yeah, huge fan of the show, because yeah, I remember watching it when it first premiered way back when. Yeah, but for me, it's geography. I mean, I am a geographer and a cartographer, and that's how I started out. I mean, that wasn't my original intention. I'm old enough to remember landing on the moon when we did in 1969. I watched it on my grandmother's television set, and so I was so blown away by that like many kids back then, I wanted to be an astronaut. And so I actually pursued that out of high school. I did aerospace engineering for a year. And then I said, well, calculus is not my jam. But what I was really good at is drawing. I'd always been a prolific artist. And I said, what I really want to do is be a conceptual artist so I can work on Lucasfilm, work on a Star Wars movie and work at Lucasfilm. I love conceptual art. I love storyboard art, back in the Ralph McQuarrie and Joe Johnston and all the work they did back in the OG films. I wanted to do that. And so I found out that they all did industrial design as a background. So I did that for 2 years and I really improved my technique and my style. But then I just decided, I grew up as a kid of two public school teachers. So every summer we did road trips. I grew up in Southern California, and then we would just road trip like all over the place. And I think that exposure every year, like going to new places, not just in the US, but also into Mexico and up into Canada, exposing to new cultures, new people, and just having that constant, wanderlust instilled in me really made me love geography and love culture. And so I said, well, you know what? I can pivot over to geography and cartography and take those artistic skills with me, which is exactly what I did. And so that's kind of what set me on the path that I have now and have had now for many, many years. But yeah, that was only how I got into geography. It wasn't the part about how I actually started working on video games.
Very cool. That's a heck of a way to, talk about world building and bringing, that type of a outlook into your projects. And you've worked on a heck of a lot of them, including, is it Indiana Jones?
Yeah, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. I worked on that for over 3 years, which came out back in December, which for me, as you could probably tell from my background, I'm a huge Indiana Jones geek, as well as Star Wars and Battlestar Galactica and everything else. But yeah, I cosplay as Indiana Jones, and I love that character and I love that world so much. So that, every once in a while, I mean, I've worked on almost 300 games. I actually started my 298th game last week. And so yeah, I definitely will celebrate when I hit 300. But every once in a while, I work on a lot of stuff. I mean, all the work I do is always fascinating and fun. But every once in a while, I get to work on a project that also aligns so closely with my own personal preferences and the things that I love, like working on Star Wars: The Old Republic, or working on the Halo games, or Age of Empires, or certain series that I really love. But when I was approached to work on Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, helping them with the cultural accuracy within the world, the accuracy for 1937, including the base map for the flyover sequences. But then as I was working on the game, they needed more and more help. And so through me, they sourced archaeologists to work on the game and geologists to work on the game, because they had a tremendous commitment to cultural authenticity and accuracy. So everything you see in the game, all the environments, which are real world environments, like the Giza Plateau in Egypt and the Sukhothai ruins in Thailand, they're all modeled after real world locations. So we knew that we had a huge responsibility to get it right and to do it correctly. And it was just one of those dream projects, making sure that all of those aspects were done well. And, we kind of kept joking that as we were working on the game, that the Great Circle game is, I imagine it's by far the most culturally accurate Indiana Jones story, by far, way more than the movies have been.
Wow.
But it's a fantastic game. I got it in December, and it just feels like the movies.
Yeah,
It's wonderful.
The team at Machine Games, which are based in Uppsala, Sweden, they completely get it. They totally understand this world, and they are massive fans of it. And the one way when I knew, this is how I knew that they were the right people to make this game, is the very first piece of content they sent me was the original base map they were planning to put into the game for all the flyover sequences. And when, me being the Indiana Jones geek that I am, the moment I saw the map, I'm like, that font they're using on their map is exactly the same font as Raiders of the Lost Ark. I'm like, these guys totally get it. Same font style, same cartography style. So I'm like, yeah, they are making like the homage of homages to this character, and I think they knocked it out of the park. And I'm biased.
What was the first Indiana Jones games you played?
Oh gosh, I mean, well, to me, the very first, I would say, Indiana Jones inspired game I ever played was way back on the Apple II. Because the first PC I ever had was an Apple II clone, because I could not afford an original Apple II. But there was a game called Aztec that was on, and it was basically Indiana Jones. And it was like a 3-level screen where basically you're trying to avoid snakes and scorpions and collect artifacts. And it was, I mean, in every way, it was modeled after Indiana Jones, but they called it Aztec. And I guess technically, even though it was not licensed IP, that was my first Indiana Jones game. But then I would say after that, it wasn't until the LucasArts games. Obviously we had Fate of Atlantis, which is probably the most famous among those. It was not until that era, about 10 years later, no, more than 10 years, like 15 years later.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I had Last Crusade on the Amstrad CPC 464, and Jesus, it was a hard game.
Yeah,
it drove me nuts. But here's something you might not know: I am a villain in Fate of Atlantis in the Antstream version.
really?
I am actually. God help me. Pete knows this. I put this up at Christmas time. So at Christmas, because I used to work at Antstream, LucasArts allowed me to be a villain. And I'm a Nazi that you have to kick the shit out of. And it's so against type, right? But whenever you play as Indy and you're playing one of the challenges, you have to kick the shit out of me. I'm one of the bosses.
Oh, funny.
So yeah, I'm in an indie game now. It's a bit weird, but Last Crusade was the one that I played, and I think I got to about the second level where you're trying. You've got the Cross of Coriando, and you're trying to get over the train and stuff. Oh God, I can't get past that. I've never been able to. But yeah, I've loved indie games.
I was gonna say I think it postdates Fate of Atlantis, but the other indie game that was prevalent at the time was the Indiana Jones pinball machine, which obviously is infamous because of the great gun controller that launches the ball. And I was so glad I just got back from I was traveling in Europe for almost a month, and I got back in time. It was actually last weekend to go to the Northwest Pinball and Arcade Show. I'm based in the Seattle area. And sure enough, they had a pristine, perfect version of the Indiana Jones pinball game there. So it was really fun to get to play that.
Wow. Well, I actually worked on the recent remaster of Indiana Jones and the Emperor's Tomb
nice.
for PS2. So I did that. I had my names on and the Staff of Kings as well.
Yep, I remember that.
I did those two games. So interesting. So there you go. Yeah, we both have a great love of the franchise, I think.
Absolutely. Kate, did you ever get to meet anyone that was involved in the actual movie franchise? Any of the cast, crew, or anything like that?
Yeah, I actually did. Actually, last month I spoke at a charity Star Wars event in the Netherlands, in Amsterdam, called Echo Base, that they do every year. And I am myself and a colleague who's a Dutch friend of mine. he and I did a panel about set jetting, about visiting filming locations for Star Wars. And while we were there, Julian Glover was there. So we got to meet Julian Glover,
Wow.
who, of course, is famous for both Star Wars and Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
We also met Anthony Daniels, who was there,
Ooh,
which was super fun to get to meet him and talk with him. And so, yeah, and John Rhys-Davies, I've met John Rhys-Davies more than once.
Wow.
And then, from Dial of Destiny at Emerald City Comic-Con here in Seattle earlier this year, I got to meet Mads Mikkelsen, which was super cool.
Wow.
Which, again, of course, Star Wars and Indiana Jones. So I love these actors who do double duty. It makes it easy.
Well, since you mentioned the convention circuit, do you do a lot of them as a professional versus just attending?
Yeah. So I usually get a professional pass for these events. And so at San Diego Comic-Con, which I'm at every year, and its sister event, WonderCon, which is in Anaheim in March, I run the game development sessions at both of those events. So I run 2 different panels about getting into the game industry. I run a game pitch session where anybody from the con can go pitch their game idea to a panel of professionals. And then we also do something called the Gaming Creator Connection, which is a 2-hour mentoring session. So I recruit about 20 to 25 of my game industry colleagues who volunteer their time. And basically for 2 hours, they just do one-on-one mentoring with anybody who shows up and wants to get help. And it's just super fun. I'm already looking forward to it next month.
Well, that's so cool. What about the East Coast? Do you get out on the East Coast much?
Not as much. And I want to I've never been to New York Comic Con. I hear so many great things about it. I've never been to Dragon Con. Even though I'm a huge cosplayer, my daughter's a costume designer. So I do a lot of cosplay.
Wow.
There's my, that's my Stormbreaker right back there for my Thor cosplay. But yeah, I have not made it out. Even though Dragon Con, I'm not sure I really want to cosplay when it's in late August in Atlanta.
Oh, it's bad. Yeah.
But yeah, I don't make it out. It's kind of ironic because I travel about 75% of the year to speak at different events around the world. Like this trip I just got back from, and I was actually in New York just 6 days ago. I spoke at an event in New York City.
Oh, wow.
Just a few days back. I returned on Sunday. But yeah, I was in Europe where I spoke in Poland and Sweden, Netherlands, Bulgaria, Romania. But yeah, so I joke with people because I'm based on the West Coast. I fly over the East Coast a tremendous amount, but I don't actually go to the East Coast enough. And I need to fix that because I have so many friends in New York and Boston and DC. And I know there's a lot of great events on the East Coast that I just have not been to yet.
Oh yeah, there's some really good cons. I know Doc McAuley. It's like you got to get a crowbar for him, but
well, I don't go very many places, and people know why. And I get invitations, and I do, but I find it very hard to travel. I find it very hard to. Well, people know I have a neurological condition, so it's very hard for me. But what most wonderful thing was, I went to San Francisco last year, and I met Kate.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a very difficult. I have to say, it was difficult for me to get down to the center. Thank God for my wife, but meeting you, Kate, was a fantastic experience for me. It was
fun.
It was wonderful. And I think you're just on a panel with the guy who created Tetris.
Yeah, that was when we did the panel last year with Alexei Pajitnov.
Yeah.
That was so much fun.
Yeah, so I had a great time there. It's not that it's impossible for me to go to conventions, but I think there has to be a bit of leeway. So maybe possibly if there's convention people listening, I'll come, but you just got to give me a little bit of leeway, a little bit more.
Look, one of the solutions is the poor man's solution is to bring in like on a Zoom. The problem is some of these convention centers don't have the bandwidth to be able to bring somebody in, but like that's something that we actually did that for the film club at the uni that I was at. We brought you in and we did that, and that went off really well.
It was great, and I really appreciate that. It was nice to lecture at a film club.
Yeah,
and it was fantastic. But look, let's talk about set jetters, Kate. Set jetters is so we've talked about fandom, and people who are really excited about being part of this fandom through video games and stuff. But your Set Chetters is offering something even more for the committed fan.
Yeah, so Set Jitters, this came about because I have been a film tourist pretty much all my life. I mean, I grew up in Southern California, so you're just surrounded by filming locations. You're near Hollywood and all that. And I've always loved the idea, and maybe that's just part of why I also became a geographer, because I really love the importance that place serves in our lives as human beings, because place is so important. It's why we go back home. You know, it's why we return to our parents' house or wherever, because that place has so much meaning for us, and it's such an emotional depth. And I think that's true of a lot of things in our life that are attached to a certain place. The place where you met your first love, the place where you proposed to your partner. I mean, all of those different, places become so solidified in our memory. And I think that's true of the media we consume too. I mean, if we see a film that means a lot to us and we have like an emotional reaction to it, we feel a connection to that place. And so to visit the filming location is kind of magical. I mean, I was a huge fan of the show MASH when I was growing up, because that was like the big show on TV back in the day. And so that's how I started my set jetting journey, is when I was still in high school, when I found out that they filmed the outdoor set of MASH in Malibu Creek State Park in outside of LA. That's when I went ahead and went to the set, and I basically, with a friend of mine who I dragged along with me, we basically crashed the set and ended up getting to meet the actors and hang out and watch the filming for the day. And that was kind of like the thing that really kind of hooked me and said, this is amazing to have this kind of experience. And so ever since then, being able to visit filming locations has been the thing.
So wait a minute. So you actually do that for fun, or?
Yeah. I it's a hobby. So when I travel so much around the world visiting filming locations, when I have extra time, no matter where I go, I try and make time to find filming locations. And so fast forward to COVID, a few years back, I was stuck at home for 18 months, and like everybody was stuck at home. And during that time, I partnered with 4 other co-founders, and we created an app that we call Set Jetters. It's available on iOS and Android. And the Set Jetters app lets you find filming locations all around the world. And so all you do is you download the app, you pop it open, there's a map, it shows you what filming locations are around you. I mean, obviously in dense populated areas like New York and LA and London, there's the filming locations everywhere. I mean, it's just like all over the place. I even did a whole bunch of set jetting in New York City when I was there just a few days ago, because I had a few hours to kill. So I'm like, hey, let me see what's around me and go collect some things, because we made it not only finding the location, but we allow in the app, we allow you the ability to create what we call a shot sync, which is recreating the scene. So through your phone, you can actually recreate the shot and line it up and make it aligned. And then once you take the picture, you can post the kind of the shot from the film and then your shot, the comparison, into the app and also to other social media. But because I'm one of the 5 founders who came from the game industry, we've also gamified the experience. So when you get within about 200 feet of the scene, you can collect it and add it to your collection, kind of like you do with Pokemon Go. You can also earn badges. So if you go to a specific place, you can actually collect a certain group of scenes in that area. So for example, tomorrow is the 50th anniversary of Jaws. And Martha's Vineyard, we've partnered with Martha's Vineyard up there in Massachusetts for the 50th anniversary. So they're promoting the fact that we have a Jaws badge that you can go around the areas of Edgartown where they filmed the scenes from Jaws, collect the scenes, and you can earn the badge, which gets you points, which gets you on the leaderboard, because we have a leaderboard for our top set jetters. So it's a really fun activity. And, a lot of travel analysts and outlets are seeing that set jetting is one of the most popular travel trends right now. And I don't think it's a surprise, because what were we doing during COVID? Most of us were sitting around streaming tons of stuff because we couldn't travel. And then once COVID kind of started, lifting, then what do people want to do? They want to travel. They want to get the hell out of their house and go somewhere. And so now we're seeing set jetting is just like exploding. It's just a massive trend.
Wow.
And I guess, so we're just, created an app to empower people to take advantage of that trend.
Okay, so I'm actually going to be visiting Martha's Vineyard later this year.
Okay.
So, and I've actually done some of, I've actually looked up on my own, some of the places. There's locations.
Mhm.
My wife was she's from Southern California,
Mhm.
so I was able to locate some of the exteriors for the pilot of Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah.
And so I got there, and one of the buildings was scheduled to be torn down, but I was able to cross the street, and so it's up on our archive at IFB, and I did a little talk, and it was kind of sad because they were going to tear the building down. So now the Jet Set app, does it have like a limit to the shows? Is it just movies?
No,
Is it?
It's everything. We have movies. Set Cheddars has movies. It has television shows. It's also got video games, because a lot of games have scenes from the real world. So like The Last of Us Part 2, a lot of The Last of Us Part 2 takes place here in Seattle. So you can go into the Seattle and you'll see different icons on our Set Cheddars map that shows you like, this is a film, this is a TV show, this is a video game. So yeah, we just started adding video games within the last year, but of course we started with films and TV shows, and we add a lot of shows that are popular. Like The White Lotus has been crazy popular, where they filmed the White Lotus series on HBO. And so a lot of people visit those scenes, but it's not just new stuff either. We add a lot of older stuff. Like one of my personal favorite films is Lawrence of Arabia. So I added a whole bunch of scenes from Lawrence of Arabia, which was filmed mostly in Jordan and in Spain. And we've got scenes, they're all over the world. We have about currently, I think, around 8,500 scenes all around the world. And we're constantly adding more. But what's really fun is our community. There's a capability inside the app and also on the setcheddars.com website. There's a form to add a scene. So if you see something missing, people can add it, and they get attribution in the app with their username saying this scene was contributed by so-and-so. And they also get points towards their overall score for adding scenes. And that's one way that we've been growing the app so much, is that we get probably at least 100 scenes per month from our community. And it's amazing. It's so much fun.
Oh, heck yeah. I went to, my son was at one point a big fan of The Walking Dead.
Yeah.
And so, and the Hunger Games. So we went to Atlanta, and it was basically a weekend, and we toured all the sets.
Yep.
And we went to all the locations, and we did all of that, and it was fantastic. We had a great time doing that. So your app, it's available for both right, iPhone, Apple, and for
for Android.
Android.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. So you can find it just Set Cheddars. It's on the iOS and the Android store.
Oh wow! Oh my god!
It's been up there for almost 4 years now, I think. So yeah, feel free to download it, try it out. We always welcome feedback. We're constantly trying to improve it. More and more. But yeah,
is it a subscription? How does
No, it's free. The app is free. So all you have to do is download it. If you set up an account within the app, then that helps, because then you can get attribution if you add scenes.
Oh my god!
So you can set up a username and all that kind of stuff. So, but yeah, so it's been such a fun project, and that's just like a side project for me.
Oh my god, it's so cool! Are you kidding? This is just nuts! I am totally blown away, because I actually didn't get a chance to do as much as I wanted, but there are fans that do this stuff for like, for example, Southern California, and you can go to where the bat came for, Batman 66, Adam West, and you can actually go to where that is. You can go to like Star Trek background, TOS stuff, and I've done as much as I could, given the time. But now when you have an app and you can collect it, this is nuts.
Yeah. So just so people know, so that's the name, Set Cheddars.
Set Cheddars, perfect.
So then there's that, you make it easy. There's a QR code. You could just scan that and download it. You can see that's me when I was at the Lars homestead in Tunisia. That was back in 2016.
Way.
So that that to me was one of the pinnacle set jetting experiences, because as like many people, Star Wars affected me so deeply.
Oh,
I was
boy.
12 years old when it came out, and I visited in 2016. So it's just, for all my life, I'm sitting there like, this has so much meaning for me. So when I finally had a chance to go there, I'll never forget walking towards it, because we had to park kind of far away because it was sort of muddy, because it is a lake bed. And I was there in February, so it had rained a little bit. But as we were walking towards it, I was getting weak in the knees. I was starting to tear up, because I could not believe that I'm going to actually stand at the very place where it all began. It was just like mind-blowing to me. And the last trip I took right before COVID, I was actually in Norway, in a place called Finse, which you can find in the Set Jetters app. So Finse, Norway, is where they filmed all the exterior shots for The Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah.
And so I was there for a 40th anniversary celebration of The Empire Strikes Back. There was about 100 of us who were there, some people in cosplay. And but what was really cool is the event brought over some of the crew members from the UK, especially ones like Peter McDonald. He was the second unit director at the site. So he basically was the guy who oversaw the whole production and filming in Finse. And so he would take us outside and give us little walking tours and say, hey, this is the exact spot where we had the tauntaun that Han Solo cuts open and shoves Luke inside.
Oh, man.
And then we took dog sleds. Took dog sleds out to what's called Han Solo Rock, which is the rock that he leans against when he shoots the probot. And so it was just so amazing. And it's like to have that connection like that. And then, I've done that a lot of places. I've been to Skellig Michael in Ireland, where they filmed the newer Star Wars films. But it just, I love it. I think a lot of my friends who've never done set jetting before, once they pick something that really is meaningful to them. Like, for example, a lot of friends like Ted Lasso. So they go to the Richmond area of London, because we have a bunch of Ted Lasso scenes. And for them, it's just so cool. They're like, oh my God, this is the exact shot. So,
wow, that is so cool. I've done that with my son when he was a little younger. And there was, there was a show that took place in Manhattan, and we were able to catch the street that it was on. Yeah. And so we went there, and we got there. The shop was still set up. They had literally just announced that weekend that they were going to cancel it. It was only one season show, but we got there and it was still dressed. And so we took pictures in front. It was so cool. So I get it. I am totally in. This is definitely one of the gems that sometimes will appear out of an interview or from a guest that we didn't expect, and this is definitely one of the gems. So thank you so much, Kate. We didn't even touch the tip of the iceberg on your career and the gaming and we were going to talk a little bit about crossover points between games and movies and things, and we had a list of possible questions that we didn't even basically touch upon, but I am so happy that we got to talk about all the other cool things as well. One thing that always shows, it comes through no matter what, is when we talk to a fan, whatever your profession is, it doesn't matter, but it always comes through, right? A fan, and you bring that to whatever your profession is, versus, there are people that are competent, and I know that you've met them. We all have. They know how to do their job, but they're not pros when it comes to, bringing in or mixing in fandom, because that's not their thing, right? Not their fault. But you're a fan, and it shows. And I'm glad that you're able to share some of that. So before anything else, though, Kate, we want to make sure that we have an open door for you. We definitely want you to come back. There's way more that we want to discuss.
I would love to.
Oh, we would love to have you back, and then I will have used the app, and then I'll tell you about the app and the fans. I hope you guys on IFB, everyone that's listening.
Can I ask you a question? right?
Doc.
A friend of mine from back home has just started asking me questions about Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Ah,
So, first of all, have each of you seen this? I haven't.
of course.
Oh, yeah.
It's a classic.
Okay.
Come on.
Does Set Jetters offer locations for Rocky Horror Picture Show?
I think we do. In fact, I'm looking it up right now. Yes, we have 2 scenes from the film,
Oh, this is so cool.
Oh, okay, Lorraine. There you go.
including the
We've
main
got-
the main house that was used, which is in the UK.
right.
Oh boy.
Lorraine has just shown me her outfit. And she's going to the Rocky Horror Picture Show. It's a fantastic outfit. She looks great in it, by the way. Lorraine, stop worrying. It's fantastic. But she's a big fan of it. I've never seen it. But I do know Richard O'Brien. He's a friend of mine. And mostly through the Crystal Maze.
I'm getting the app, Doc, because listen, last time a couple of trips ago, before the one that I went out to see you, I'd been to Denver, Colorado, and I went out to find the Mork and Mindy house.
Oh, okay.
So I took a picture in front of it.
Nanu. See, I know things about pop culture. I do know these things. I do.
You're a wee one, man. You're a big
well,
you're
yes,
young,
I am.
but you have an appreciation. You've seen some of this stuff, so that's
I'm young, but I look so bloody old.
Well, I mean, my pop culture goes all the way back to the first film I ever saw in the theater was 2001: A Space Odyssey,
that's
cool. But I mean, when I grew up, I was watching Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea.
Yep.
Land
I love it. I love it.
All of those films.
Do you know what's the most right? So I work with Bill Mummy, Kate. I don't know if you know this.
Oh, of course I know who he is.
Well, okay, right. So Bill's been sort of teaching me that classic sci-fi.
Yeah, Lost in Space was awesome.
Yeah, and then the classic quote of "You're a very bad man."
Yeah, that's what I grew up on, and of course, Ray Harryhausen movies, all the Sinbad, Jason the Argonauts, also because when I was growing up, we were watching originals, the OG sci-fi films like War of the Worlds from 1953 and The Time Machine,
The Blob,
Blob with Steve McQueen, and that's what I grew up on. And I mean, so I was hooked. I was hooked early on, but then you fast forward for those of us of that generation in 1982. To me, I mean, here we are 5 years after Star Wars came out, and that's by 1982. It took a lot of studios about 5 years to finally realize sci-fi and fantasy sells, and people are dying for more of this, especially when it's done well. So in 1982, I've had to explain this to so many younger people who were not there. Yeah. They can't imagine what that summer was like when you had so many iconic films and franchises. E.T., Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan, The Thing, Road Warrior, Tron, Poltergeist, just on and on and on. So many films.
Well, when I was a kid in Ireland,
Blade Runner.
When I was a kid in Ireland, right, and I was growing up in the 90s, we had nothing, and people don't realize we were like 20 years behind everybody, But I do have an exciting announcement to make. Okay. Yeah, I suppose I'm just going to do it. So Disney legendary Imagineer Terry Hardin Jackson, who is one of my other mentors, who worked with Jim Henson, I am writing her biography at the minute, and it's going to be published by Disney. And we're doing this stuff. But she was a massive Star Wars fan, and she was, I think she went to see Star Wars in the Chinese theater 300 times.
What?
300 times.
Wow.
And she built the first Star Wars cosplay outfit from watching that. And then Disney hired her. So she worked with Jim Henson. Her first jobs were Jim Henson. And then she worked on Indiana Jones. And then she worked on Ghostbusters.
That's
and then
amazing.
Disney hired her to basically do Star Wars stuff in Hong Kong. She did the Star Wars thing in Hong Kong. And so I'm writing her biography at the minute. She's one of my mentors for the last couple of years.
Super cool.
But yeah, it was that she talked to me about this, and she was like, okay, you're a sci-fi fan, but you're a sci-fi fan because all this stuff happened in the States. Like, only you can save mankind. All these things, that happened. And, it's fascinating because you're saying the same thing, Kate. It's like, for somebody of my generation, it's a big jump, right? It's a massive jump.
I actually talk about it in some of my lectures where when I mentioned kind of what influenced me to do what I do and what kind of kept me, which I proudly say in geekdom, which I try and explain to my other friends who are not into sci-fi or fantasy or anything, and yet they're fanatics for Disney or they're sports fanatics, and they're like, and they kind of look down at geeks, and I'm like, you're just as much of a geek as we are.
Yes, they are.
You're just geeking out about something else.
Yeah.
We all, it's a positive form of obsession.
Absolutely.
I think, and it's just because we are so inspired by it and driven by it, and it's something that brings us together, which to me is the most important part. Because like as an avid cosplayer, that's one thing I absolutely love about the cosplay community. Like when I go to different cons, it's like the very fact that you're cosplaying is enough for you to like, hey, how did you do that? That's really cool. Yeah, you have instant rapport with people in the same way. Like I have used Star Wars, I have used all kinds of different kind of geek media to break barriers across cultures, because even if you can't speak the language, or if the language barrier might be there, you can still kind of show a Star Wars picture, you can see the reaction on somebody's face, or like, it's something we both like, and it kind of instantly brings down barriers because it's like you're connecting on some level. And if it works that well, then I'm all for it. I think that's a fantastic way. And I've done that in many places around the world, using my love of Star Wars or any other media as a way to break barriers.
Your Thor is phenomenal, by the way. I think that was the first cosplay I saw you in. Your Thor is absolutely
that's what a lot of people in the industry brilliant. Know me for that one.
That's awesome. Brilliant. Kate, again, thank you very much. We want you to come back. So if maybe we could time it to any one of your presentations, or there's anything coming out, or for any reason, if you have time, please consider coming back to IFB. We would love to have you. You're a great guest. And I'm so looking forward to downloading the app because I'm going to have a great time with it.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much. Thanks again for having me. And I'm happy to come back anytime.
Cool. Kate,
bye, mate.
Cheers.
It's good to see you.
Thank you.
Cheers.
And, hope to see you again soon.
Thank you.
Bye.
All right. Bye-bye.
Outstanding. What a great guest. Thank you, Doc.
Well, I'll tell you something. She's influenced my career massively. And I remember when I was not so long, 10 years ago, maybe 11 years ago, I reached out to her with my primitive coding. And she really helped me. She really, so
good stuff. Well, I can see, you can see, Kate seems like a really nice person.
She is.
So,
100%.
I mean, it's there. You get the sense of it. So I'm looking forward to getting the app and hoping that, we can get her to come back at some point and talk more sci-fi. But right now we actually have in the green room, Major Erika Persianni, who is the director of communications for Battlestar fan club, and she's gonna bring us an update. She's going to Comic Palooza. If she's not already there, I'm not sure, but we're gonna find out all the details, and we're gonna get into a Battlestar update. So let's welcome Erika. Hey
guys,
how's it going?
Good. I'm actually not going to Comic Palooza.
Oh,
so I'm actually at home in North Carolina. I do know the fleet is there. I know Dragon Lady is there. I know the entire fleet that was going is there. All the models are there.
Yeah.
Raider 1, last I heard, was on his way. He's probably there already. Not quite sure.
Okay.
But no, unfortunately, I couldn't make it this year, and I'm bummed.
Oh yeah, I know. We were gonna try to get there ourselves, but it wasn't in the cards. So things play out a certain way. But I pulled this from the BFC
Yes.
page. So I was hoping that you're gonna kind of maybe guide us through this based on what you know.
As I know, there were supposed to be 6 guests that came with the BFC. I can't talk tonight. But those are the 5 that are there. I know Eric, last I heard, he was on his way there with his son. Lucia, I don't know who's there right now, but they all are going to be there by tomorrow. I'm pretty sure they're all going to be available from Friday through Sunday.
Okay.
So those are the 5 that are there, as far as I know. Those are the confirmed 5. The 6th person was unable to attend for personal reasons.
Okay. And I know that BFC celebrating 25th anniversary.
Yes, their silver anniversary. They're celebrating at Comicpalooza. I know Dragon Lady Cherry, her and her husband were on their way there. They have lots of swag at their table that they're giving out. They have
cool.
Battlestar Galactica fan club pins. There's plastic drinking cups. There's bracelets, I believe. There's stickers. There's a whole bunch of stuff that they're giving out.
Cool. As a matter of fact, we have some of our IFBers going to be there. So
awesome. Definitely stop by the table. Definitely stop by and say hi to them then.
Yeah. So you guys, I know Gary and Dave and a bunch of you guys are going out there. So definitely stop in and because they're cosplaying. So they will be out there with CMOD, I believe. And if not, I mean, they're still going to, So it's going to be a hell of a convention. With there's going to be a ton of things going on and a big Battlestar presence. I mean, look at that.
Yeah. There's a huge Battlestar presence at Comicpalooza. There's going to be a huge one at
Creation.
That's the big one I wanted to do. Battlestar Galactica is doing to Battlestar Galactica in New Jersey, September 19th to the 21st. They have 10 of the reimagined series actors that are going to be there. They have 10 of them, and I have their names.
Go ahead. Yeah, let us know.
The old man is Admiral Adama is going to be there. Edward James Olmos.
Okay.
Mary McDonald, who played Laura Roslin. Katie is going to be there.
Wow.
Callum Rennie, who played Leoben, is going to be there. Trish Helfner is going to be there. One of my personal favorites.
There you go.
Tomo Pennicott, who played Hilo, is going to be there.
Okay.
Also, my other personal favorite, Jamie Bamber, who played Lee, is going to be there. Gaius Baltar, James Callis.
Yeah.
Mark Shepard, who played Romo Lampkin and Crowley on Supernatural, is going to be there. And Grace Park, who was Boomer and Athena, is going to be there.
Wow.
So they're going to be in Jersey in the Hanover Marriott Hotel in Whippany, New Jersey.
Wow. Are you going to be able to get to that or no?
No, unfortunately, being I'm in North Carolina, I'm not. And I don't know any of my friends who are going to be there. I was hoping I could con my older brother into going, but he's not a Battlestar Galactica geek, so he won't go.
You see, you gotta. It's that network. You gotta have that partner to be able to go. Yeah. It's the salute to Battlestar Galactica. Creation Entertainment has been around for 40 years or more, doing conventions in New York City. Their famous convention was the Thanksgiving Creation Sci-Fi Comic Book Convention, and I know Richard Hatch was a guest back in the day at Creation.
He was awesome.
And it was cool. That was the go-to con that here in New York everybody would go to. So it's the New York Comic Con of back in the day, and then Creation moved operations to California and got involved with other stuff, but they still do a lot of these themed conventions around the world, actually. So this is the one for salute to the Battlestar Galactica.
They did have a salute to Battlestar Galactica. The closest one to me was Nashville, Tennessee.
Oh,
and that's about
okay.
10 hours. That's about 10 hours from me.
Oof,
So
that's a drive.
it'll
Yeah.
still drive, but
Ooh.
a little bit closer. It's a little not well. It's probably about 8 hours. I could probably make it in 8, but Jersey is definitely like 12 hours. And
Okay, yeah, you're kind of far, but
little
there's
far.
going to there'll be other opportunities. I know that the both.
I'd
the
love for them to
classic-
come to North Carolina. I would love
Oh,
that.
imagine! I know. There's going to be a bunch of medium-sized cons, and I know that between now and next year, there's going to be combinations of both the classic cast and the reimagined will be attending. So we're going to try to keep up with that with your help.
I will try and see what I can do with that.
Yeah. So what else do you have for us? I know that BFC is going to be strong at Comic Palooza.
Yeah, it's gonna be strong at Comic Palooza. I don't know for sure if the fleet is going to be at SpaceCon or not. I haven't gotten final details on that. I know in North Carolina this weekend we have Cosplay America going on.
Oh wow!
In Cary, North Carolina, Durham, Cary, North Carolina.
Okay. What is that?
It's more anime related from what I've seen online, but it's at the Embassy Suites in Cary, North Carolina.
Okay.
They seem to be more towards the Japanese anime.
Mm-hmm.
We have in July we have GalaxyCon Raleigh. That's the 24th to the 27th. That's a heavy Star Trek people. That's where you want to go. If you're in North Carolina, that's where you want to go. I know William Shatner, Captain Kirk, is supposed to be there, the original Captain Kirk. I know that SFI has a chapter that goes to that. I believe it's the USS Kitty Hawk. They will be there. They actually have a setup with the transporter that you can actually take a picture in.
Oh, cool.
So it's pretty cool. I think they still have that. I'm not entirely sure. I haven't spoken to their head Starfleet Marine in a long time. But that's what I know is going on. I know in October in Fayetteville, North Carolina, they have the Fayetteville Fan Fest. And I know there will be possibly a BSG presence there. With the BFC, their Gunstar, that is whose CO I know, his name is Keith Ranston, otherwise known as Leonidas. He's gonna try and get a table for that. So he may be there, he may not.
Yeah,
I may be
at that. Cool.
I may be at that. But that's the only ones that I know of right now. The other ones are like October, November.
Okay, so we got some time for those.
Yeah, there's a few of those. But I have the guest list for SpaceCon San Antonio. That's got 6 Battlestar Galactica people.
Wow.
So they've got Edward. Edward is going to be there.
Nice.
Mary McDonald, James Callis, Trishna Helfner, Grace Park, and Jamie Bamber are all going to be there.
Wow. And that when's that?
That is October 24th to the 26th.
October 24th. Okay. All right. So yeah, heavy October is just there's New York Comic Con's October, the con that you just mentioned. There's always a lot of them going on throughout the United States and probably the world. But all right, cool. So that's a good update on what's going on in terms of the cons. I
also know that Dragon Con, I'm friends with another Battlestar Galactica cosplayer. He does the original series. There's always a bunch of Colonial Warriors so if you get to Dragon Con, you'll see the original.
Absolutely. There's going to always. I know that Superfan Fran is going to be there. John 1 is going to be there. We're going to have
Eric Engler.
Commander Kane is going to be there.
Yes,
Paul will be there. So a bunch of IFB, IFBers are going to be there representing Captain Kirk. John 1 just said that William Shatner will be at Dragon Con this year. So that's cool. Yeah. Kim, I think Kim's going to be there. Kim, I think you basically are a regular at Dragon Con, if I'm not mistaken. So Kim Harms, and we've met a lot of fans of Battlestar and IFB. So at Dragon Con when we went a couple years ago.
I know. Eric Engler is going to be there.
Eric's always there. He's got a really cool Adama, TOS.
Adama.
Yeah, and he does he's good. So Yeah, it's going to be great. Always a great presence at Dragon Con. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of either classic or reimagined Galactica presence at, like, I'll tell you, New York Comic Con. It's very rare when you spot any Galactica, which is unfortunate. Like when we go, we're always wearing our Colonial Warrior jacket, and then once in a while you'll spot, maybe one or two. Never more than 5 over the whole, weekend, which is, kind of sad, but it is. But yeah, when you get more than, like, you get like a dozen or 20 at like Dragon Con, it's like 30. And it's like, wow, that's great. So Comic Palooza is going to be incredible.
I know a bunch of our people, BFC people, are in either the duty blues like this, or they'll be in the duty greens, the light duty greens.
Cool. Very cool. Yeah, it's going to be something. Oh, the other one that we get a lot of BSG representation is at Awesome Con, because CMOD goes to Awesome Con, and we've met up with them, and hopefully we'll be getting there next year with our Battlestar Galactica fan film, The Stranded Warrior. So we're hoping, fingers crossed for that. And then we'll see if we get into, the convention circuit. We'll be going out to that, and we'll be calling on all the fans to come out. Not sure how close we'll be getting to your neck of the woods, Erika.
You get near Raleigh or Charlotte, I'm there.
Yeah, but that's why it's good to have you from, reporting from where you are. Not to mention, you're plugged into BFC, and you're representing your region, so to speak. So you're telling us about the cons that are coming on, and that kind of thing. So that's cool, because it's either East Coast or West Coast, and kind of like in between gets lost, which is a shame. So, but that's cool. That's why it's important that you come on, and you're giving us the updates and the like. So thank you for that. Appreciate it.
Children.
Hey, somebody's got to do it, and it's tag, it's you now. So it's very cool. Yeah. Any other insights?
It's not just the BFC that I work with. I am actually part of another fan group called the Serenity Fleet.
That's cool.
They are a multi-fandom. They cover all sorts of sci-fi, fantasy.
Okay.
We have one of our members, when we went to Eastgate back at the end of March, had stuff from Aliens, the Aliens franchise, because he's a big Aliens fan. One of our founding members, actually our founder, he came up with the Serenity Fleet, is Star Trek. So he had all his Star Trek, which is the USS Serenity. He has some stuff. I was there as Galactica. So the only two ships we have that are active would be the USS Serenity and the Battlestar Galactica, which I am the CO of.
Cool. All right. So yeah, you got to keep us in the loop. When's the next con that you're going to?
I'm hoping we have one August 23rd. We have a 1 day. I have that out to our people, to the Serenity Fleet.
Cool.
Have not heard anything back from them. That will be in Winston-Salem, North Carolina.
Oh, wow. All right. So any of these events that you're going to go to, Erika, of course, you're going to, you take pictures and stuff.
Absolutely.
We'll share some of that on IFB, so we can, let everybody, peek into what it's like to go to all these different events and different
behind
stuff.
the scenes.
Yeah, it's cool. Oh, we love it. So, Erika, thank you very, very much.
Absolutely.
And so if you can, tap into your connections at BFC, so that you can do maybe like a wrap up on what went down.
Absolutely. I can get in touch with Dragon Lady and Rhea and Steve and all them. And
Grab some notes, grab some pics if you can. And then next time you come up, we'll do the, wrap up on how it went, what went down and stuff. Yeah, it'd be really cool.
Yeah, I can definitely touch base with Dragon Lady, with James Joplin, who has the fleet. I can definitely touch base with all them and have them send me pictures. And
I know, oh my God, that'd be cool.
I know there'll be pictures up on the Facebook page for the BFC.
Yep,
they'll have pictures and videos up, so you can always grab them off there too if you need to. But I will definitely touch base with them and see how everything goes during the course of the weekend.
Yeah, all right. Fantastic. Erika, great job. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Here's to you with my original
I see that. I see
Apollo.
Richard.
Yep, Apollo Battlestar Galactica cup, glass rather. So cheers and
Cheers.
Keep the faith.
Absolutely. You guys too.
All right. Well, thank you very, very much. And we will see you again on the next come around. Okay, Erika?
Yep, that'll be August.
All right.
Slancha, Erika. Thanks very much.
Cheers, Doc.
All right. Fantastic. All right, Doc. So that kind of brings us to the very, very end almost of the show.
The end.
I mean,
yes.
between Chris Fian, Tiny Bean, Kate Edwards, and then we had the BFC and Battlestar rep coming on and telling us, Erika telling us about a little bit of the scene, a little bit of what's going on, and the cons. Man, there's some really good conventions. So hopefully towards the end of the year we'll see how that plays for us, IFB, and attending. We are working on a convention for next year that we're locking down table, hopefully the local premiere of the Stranded Warrior. Hopefully there'll be guests that are Galactica related. We can't disclose that yet because things, ink hasn't dried on contracts. So that's in the working, guys. So stay tuned. There's more to come in terms of Battlestar and what we're trying to do. Keeping the faith going and just getting things out there. Doc, we've been working on the Battlestar Galactica book that we've talked about. Crystal Lake has announced it. The word, of course, is that Lorette Spang is going to be working with us on that book.
Yes.
So that's coming along. I believe that it's probably going to we're looking at a fall release.
Yeah, full release. So you're going to get hardback, softback. It's going to be out, hopefully, if we can get it all compiled and worked out, maybe by November.
That would be great. Yeah, that would be great. So we have, I think the writing is almost all done. So we're waiting on maybe one more piece, something like that, so that we can get this all to the publisher, and then we can start working. I know there's a cover in the making, and then you guys are gonna love it. It's an artist that's been involved in Battlestar Galactica, so it's gonna be fantastic. And I am really, really excited about the project. Thanks to your magic, Dr. Chris.
Well, apparently I am magic, but who knows?
That's right.
But yeah, I've enjoyed this greatly. It's fantastic. So it'll be fun.
Oh, it sure will be. So I guess, is there any other major announcements? I'm quickly looking over at my notes. We basically covered pretty much everything, but on my end, not everything on your end. Have stuff.
Well, I'm not allowed to announce too much anymore. I actually had, after last week, it was like the publishers came and said, "You said what?" Right, okay. We're going to castrate you now. No. And castration is quite painful.
Okay, so stay away from that. So
exactly.
You can't, yes. But yep, there are things happening behind the scenes, guys. Stay tuned. Again, I hope Tipsy Toaster is enjoying his day off from broadcasting, but that's okay. He'll be back next week. And Doc, I don't know if you're going to be available to drop in, but if you are, of course, you're always welcome. Thank you to everybody that watches us live, and then everyone that watches this later on. Thank you as well. It's incredible when you see sometimes these numbers are in the thousands and sometimes they're in the tens of thousands. It's just completely mind-blowing. Thank you so much for supporting. Thank you for watching. We, of course, are fans just like you, and we look forward to seeing you next week on the next episode of Interfleet Broadcasting. Doc McAuley, any final words?
We will see you next week, and we'll probably have an amazing guest for next week. So,
as usual, yes.
Stay tuned, folks.
All right, guys. As we like to say here on IFB, fans fuel the fleet. So here's to all of you. Thanks for supporting and tuning in. See you next time. All the best. Stay safe.
Bye, folks. See you next week.